Viktor Gyokeres to Arsenal is definitely going to happen. I have no doubts about it. And I feel as though you viewers have no doubts about it as well. So why dwell on the negativity and what he won't bring to Arsenal and what we need and all of that stuff? Let's just focus on the positives. What will Viktor Gyokeres bring to Arsenal? What qualities does he have which will take Arsenal to a new direction? You know, sort of a positive direction, and this video is all about that. But before I begin, if you are new here, please hit the subscribe and the like as well. It'd be greatly appreciated. But let's start with the mental side of Viktor Gyokeres, because I feel like on the pitch you can have everything for a striker, and you know but there's more to it. You need to have the mentality, and one of the traits that I've picked up from Viktor Gyokeres is very selfish and narrow-minded, and for a striker that is not necessarily a bad thing. We need players in our front line who think, okay, I've come away from this game, but I haven't scored, and I'm really annoyed that I haven't scored. Okay, you know, we're 5-1 up. I still want to score. I may have got 2 goals here, but I want to make it a hat-trick. And that's what Viktor Gyokeres will bring to Arsenal. I genuinely feel he's got one of the best mentalities in Europe for a centre-forward. And you're looking at Arsenal's front line and you're thinking, Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz, are they coming away from a game genuinely punching the wall and being like, I haven't scored it? I'm furious. I'm going to now go onto the training pitch after that game and do 50 shooting drills because I haven't scored. Gyokeres is that sort of player. And the mentality sort of shows again in this transfer saga. Willing to give up 2 million of his wages is an indication of a player that, you know, is ready and wants to make an impact and score the goals Arsenal need from a centre forward. And I have a lot of respect for a man who's like that. And I love his hunger and constant need for scoring a goal. It genuinely is quite impressive, and it doesn't just stem from the mental side. It's his shot volume. The amount of shots Gyokeres has per game is welcomed at Arsenal Football Club. I feel as though in our front line we don't have players that take enough shots. Viktor Gyokeres would instantly fix that, whether it's from him dragging to the left hand side, whether that's from him staying centrally. I feel like Viktor Gyokeres, the amount of shots he has on goal, is genuinely welcomed at Arsenal Football Club. We genuinely do need it. And you're looking at that XG. He's overperformed his net XG. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is very subjective considering the league he's playing in. But let's not just disregard him because of the league he's playing in. He still takes a lot of shots in the Champions League. And we genuinely need that at Arsenal Football Club. But before I begin, as always, I have to give a massive shout out to Dragon Jersey. We all want to see Gyokeres in an Arsenal kit. You know, you could get yourself a Gyokeres Arsenal kit already on their site. They sell vintage Arsenal shirts, retro Arsenal shirts, and you can use code Fanatics for 10% off. I genuinely do recommend it. Let's keep on getting on with the video, and I want to talk about Gyokeres' box efficiency because I genuinely do feel like Viktor Gyokeres takes far too many touches in the box before he shoots, but the data does show that Viktor Gyokeres is quite efficient when it comes to in the box touches and scoring from them. For every 4 touches in the opposition box, Gyokeres registers at least 1 shot on target, which is a higher rate than Isak and Watkins. That is not too bad whatsoever, but you've got to sort of take in consideration the league, and I know I've said that multiple times, but it genuinely is something you need to consider. But he is somebody who knows how to get a shot off, and probably in the Premier League, if he's closed down quicker, he'll naturally take the shot quicker. These players aren't dumb. They have an understanding of what's in and around them on the box. If Gyokeres has it there, he'll know I need to take the shot quicker. And here is the data, the sort of spreadsheet that shows it. Massive shout out to my friend here, one analyst on Twitter. Look in the top right, look where Viktor Gyokeres is, a box killer. So once he receives that ball in the box, the guy can be a killer. He can genuinely put that ball into the back of the net. And of course, that mentality stems from the goals he scored. Let's not just brush it off. This scoring record is better than anyone we've ever seen in Portugal. That's without a shadow of a doubt. 52 goals and 12 assists last season is an absolute joke. The season before that, 35 goals and 13 assists. Even at Coventry, I think the Championship is a great way of measuring how he will translate into Premier League. There he is, 21 goals, 12 assists, 18 goals, 5 assists. This is a bagsman. This is somebody who knows and can provide as well. In terms of, again, Gyokeres' positives, transitions, he's very good. And Arsenal are a team who have a lot of high turnovers. This is without a shadow of a doubt. Arsenal turn over the ball very quickly. And we've got Declan Rice to do it. Mendy's been introduced to do it. Kai Havertz, Ødegaard is a really good presser. Martinelli as well. These players make sort of turnovers happen. And Gyokeres is used to those transition turnover moments. He'll add a bit of inevitability. Is he absolutely top world class, the best in the world at transitions? No, but he'll add that sort of element of inevitability in those transition moments, which Arsenal have missed. And here is the data to show Arsenal in terms of high turnovers, and we only scored 69 goals. And I could probably say Arsenal, in terms of turnovers last season, we were horrible. We weren't making the most of them whatsoever, and Gyokeres indeed will sort of improve us in that sort of metric. Another thing I want to talk about is Gyokeres in terms of rotations and fluidity in the front line. I genuinely feel as though Arsenal will go through a point of adaptability and change in terms of how we attack. And I feel as though Martinelli may be the biggest beneficiary from a Viktor Gyokeres transfer. Rodrigo as well is potentially coming to Arsenal. Feel like he would benefit too. And of course, I've talked about it many times, Gyokeres has a left-hand side bias. Look at where he is here. Look at who that is. I've talked about this before in previous videos. Trincao, that's another winger. Look how central he is. So say Gyokeres goes out wide. Trincao, look where he is there. That can be a Martinelli. That can be a Saka. He would allow for those fluid rotations. And I always sort of look towards Arsenal games where we saw the fluid and rotation of Arsenal. And I look at the game against Atalanta away from home in the Champions League, where there was a lot of rotations. You have to do that, especially when you come up against a lot of man-to-man in the Premier League. You have Newcastle that like to do it. Liverpool like to do it. So someone like Viktor Gyokeres who's willing to rotate, especially to that left-hand side, it will be a really, really good thing. And I feel like this is a great moment to talk about the potential change. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be upset already, but we've got to be open to this change. Arteta will want to change the way of playing, especially with a profile like Gyokeres coming in. And I said we may see more of the 4-4-2. Remember when Havertz and Jesus would play together? But more in particular, I'm looking towards PSG home of last season. When Odegaard was out injured, we saw a Trossard and Havertz front two, and it was one of our most effective formations in terms of scoring and defending. I really enjoyed the way Arsenal looked. And here was the lineup on that day. Trossard, Havertz, Saka, Martinelli, Rice. Instead of Mr. Thomas Partey, you could have Zubimendi in there. Then you have Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Raya. It could be Lewis Skelly in there. It could be Ben White at right back. It doesn't matter. But my sort of, idea would be a Havertz and Gyokeres front two. Because I genuinely do believe that there's a lot that Havertz has that Gyokeres doesn't. And vice versa. There's a lot of Gyokeres things that he has and Havertz doesn't have. And I'm talking about, Kai's lack of tight ball manipulation, ball striking, timing when it comes to the finish. Gyokeres has those things, but he doesn't have the hold up back to goal play that Havertz has. I feel like Gyokeres would benefit from a lot of playing around with Havertz, a lot of knockdowns from Havertz and running onto those knockdowns. If there's a box situation, a ball goes into the box, Havertz causing that chaos in the box. The ball drops in and around to Gyokeres in the box and he'll score. It's as simple as that. Keep Gyokeres as close to the goal as possible and you will have a lot of positivity in terms of talking about him. And in terms of psychological things, I've talked about this before, and it's sort of the last thing I want to talk about. I feel as though in terms of lifting the players, Gyokeres is more impactful than Sesko. Declan Rice was liking his photos on Instagram, Gyokeres photos that is. The players know they need a goal scorer. They've seen the stats. Gyokeres is a goal scorer. They've put 2 and 2 together. He may not even perform to those levels, but knowing you can have a goal scorer like Gyokeres to come into a game, to start a game, may be the boost we need to go and win a Premier League title. But anyway, Gunners, that's it for now. And until next time, peace.